Hi there! The noun drug by dictionary definition is this: a substance used as a medicine or in making medicines for internal or external use, or a substance intended for use in the diagnosis, cure, mitigation, treatment, or prevention of disease in man or animal, or a substance other than food intended to affect the structure or function of the body of man or animal. Don't accept any different definition. It would be wrong. Now, there should not be a distinction between drug user and non-drug user. A drug user could range from someone who only takes one aspirin twice a year up to someone who is dependent on multiple powerful substances. One's drug could be acetaminophen, alcohol, amphetamines, barbiturates, bath salts, caffeine, cocaine, codeine, diphenhydramine, ecstasy, heroin, ibuprofen, LSD, marijuana, OxyContin, Prozac, Ritalin, spice, tobacco, or Xanax. The big distinction should be between responsible use and abuse. Alcohol and tobacco each kill tens of thousands of people each year. Acetaminophen, used like aspirin, kills 500 people a year. Even caffeine is known to kill 50 people each year. Perhaps caffeine kills thousands each year, and many cases of fatal heart attacks thought to be natural deaths were actually triggered by caffeine. Regardless, too much of any drug is bad. Now, just because some legal drugs kill more people than some illegal drugs doesn't mean the illegal drugs should be legal. This may indicate that those legal drugs should also be illegal, or at least more restricted. Now, all drugs should be managed by adults. Children should never be in control of what drugs they take. Some drugs can be properly managed by most adults, such as caffeine, diphenhydramine, ingredient in sleeping pills, Prozac, and Xanax. Other drugs cannot be managed by any adult by themselves, as they are too dangerous or addictive in any quantity. Rather, they must be administered by a hospital, such as heroin or morphine. Yet other drugs can be managed by most adults in a certain form, like South Americans chewing coca leaves to get the cocaine effect that way, but are too dangerous in another form, such as pure cocaine powder. That can be used for numbing certain areas for serious medical procedures, especially eye operations, as it stops the patient from blinking. But snorting a line of it would automatically be abuse. Fentanyl is a drug that should only be administered by doctors and only to dying patients, since it's so dangerous. Those patients will die regardless, and fentanyl is the most powerful killer of physical pain. There are drugs that should never be used by humans, such as PCP, since it's only useful on animals such as dogs or horses. And there are drugs that should never be used by any living thing, such as crocodile. That's because it contains things such as gasoline, hydrochloric acid, and paint thinner, which are poisons. Toluene should go without saying. Now, is drug use condemned by the Bible? As for most drugs, no. That's because most drugs simply did not exist back then. And apparently the biblical writers were unaware of drug-producing plants such as cannabis, from which come marijuana. So the Bible is basically silent about drugs outside of alcohol. Some people try to pull a fast one by pointing out that sorcery is condemned, and the word sorcery was translated from the word pharmakeia, Greek word pharmakeia, from whence comes the word pharmacy and the practice of making drugs. However, that was only referring to using drugs on others without their consent, with the intention of stupefying them or controlling their mind or body, either through the drug effect or due to having a witch's spell or hex placed on the substance, or, like I said, due to the substance's great power. That sounds like what a lot of psychiatric hospital workers do to their patients. Alcohol, though, was well known. Quoting Ephesians 5:18 from the American Standard of 1901 Bible, "Be not drunken with wine, wherein is riot, but be filled with the Spirit." Riot was translated from the Greek word azotia, meaning or being completely without control. In fact, Galatians 5:19-21 lists drunkenness among the things that will keep one from heaven. And hell is the only alternative. Although other drug use is not specifically mentioned, common sense should tell us that using any drug to purposely get so-called wasted would be condemned, since drunkenness is condemned. I'd include powerful hallucinogens such as DMT too, in any quantity, since they make you to be completely out of it. The aforementioned are rejections of the God-given life presented to us for an artificial or dissociative state. And hopefully we'll have the wisdom and discipline to never go behind the wheel of any motorized vehicle if there's a drug in our system that might impair our driving. As for someone you know who's severely addicted to a dangerous drug, don't be quick to condemn them as a bad person. For some, offer them help, persuade them to get help, or enlist their friends and or family members to find help for them. For others, simply being their friend can help cure their addiction, as they would have something positive to fill their life with instead. If those things don't work, informing the police may be the proper option. And if you are in that situation, do whatever you can to get help. Finally, please play this video again until you've absorbed all its information. Stay tuned for more informative videos.